everybody, it's Judah and Katie back on technically.
Nose salutes are a thing now.
It is, it's true. I've heard. The military is getting rid of this, and it's all nose salutes from now on. Technically day 3, but really day 2. So we packed up this morning super early from Mammoth Campground.
I mean, we're talking about yesterday, but you're pretending it's today?
Yes, Katie. Thank you for picking up on that.
I'm very uncomfortable with lying.
We're packing up from the Mammoth campsite. We're going to head over to the canyon campsite. We're going to do a few hikes before we go. But off in the distance, you can hear the elk crying, and you can hear coyotes. Here's our site right here, Site 71. We got AJ by the truck. There's our tents. Okay, so
Yesterday
we packed up super early and we left Mammoth Campground to head to our new campsite, but we wanted to hit the Beaver Pond Loop Trail before, here come my cousins, before we did that. So we headed off to the, what is it called? The Liberty Cap. To my great disappointment, this is actually not the Yellowstone butt plug, but the Liberty Cap. But it looks more like the sorting hat from Harry Potter. I think we should start some kind of a petition. Change the name. One way or the other. Our plan was to do the Beaver Pond Trail. So we stopped. The trailhead is at the Liberty Cap, which unfortunately is not called the butt plug of Yellowstone.
But it looks like the butt plug of Yellowstone.
And I think Katie and I, if there's like a suggestion box somewhere around here, I think we're writing that in. So keep an eye out for that change in the future.
This is not even...
So that's where the trailhead starts, and it's about a 350-foot elevation. Not very high, but I gotta say, it's either because I'm fat and old, or it's just because we're high up, but I'm getting winded so fast, more than I recognize in other trips that I've taken in the past. So we do this 350, and then it flattens out. See the beaver ponds. We didn't see any beavers, but we did see a herd of elk. And we ran into some people that were like, hey, there's some antelope up around the bend. And I thought they were just calling the elk antelope. And then we saw something, and I got video of it. But I think they're called pronghorns. But I'm not totally sure. Gonna have to look that one up. And I'll leave a little note in this video whether or not they're antelope or pronghorns. But I'm leaning towards pronghorns. We finished that up about 3 hours.
Yeah, that's true. Up at the top, it was really beautiful. Actually, there was a spot where you looked out over the water, and you could see the mountain, and it was just reflecting, and it was really beautiful. But then we got a little higher, and I was like, ooh, cell service, yeah!
That's right.
Which I hadn't had for the last couple days, and
we took a bit of a break.
I checked my email because I'm like that, and I had some emails I needed to forward on since I'm not available. There's also a man with,
okay. So we are telling the truth.
With a very cute face, who apparently sometimes wears socks with sandals. That I was chatting with. It was great.
So after we were done with that.
No.
No?
I don't know where you're going, but we were up there, and we saw these really big, juicy crickets. Yes,
crickets.
Big, really big guys, like pretty fat.
Like
and
some
I
size.
got real close to one of them because I wanted to see how big it was, and I was like, wait a second, what the heck is this cricket doing? But it had some kind of, a part just sticking into the earth.
Yeah.
And so we were interested in that for a minute, and then we start walking, and then we see like 7 more because I was like, don't step on the crickets, and they were all busy laying their eggs, which is kind of cool.
What I want to point out, and she just did it a second ago, every time she saw one of these bugs, and it concerns me a little bit, she said, hey Judah, did you see this juicy cricket? And I'm just like,
very fat and juicy looking.
Why is that? If I'm explaining something like a bug, I'm not going to call it juicy. That gives somewhat of a leaning towards you enjoying to either eat them or step on them?
You step on peaches, do you?
So you're saying you do eat them? That's okay. There we go. Mystery solved. That's why.
I mean, I have eaten crickets, but not that kind. Those things are fucking huge.
They're big,
Those
man.
are big,
I'm not
juicy
lying.
crickets, like I
Thumb
said.
size
But no,
crickets.
it is true that when I see a bug of a certain voluptuousness, I do not have the urge to eat it. I do have the urge to smash it.
And
I
yet,
don't. The better part of me is like, no, you love creatures and animals and bugs, and you would never want to smash it. But there's another part of me that dearly wants to hear the squish, see the squish, feel the
I
squish.
think she subconsciously, when she was like, Judah, don't step on that big, fat,
like,
juicy
I hope you step on
cricket.
it.
She was really hoping I was just going to stomp on it, but that was not going to happen.
I'm not proud of it.
When we were done, we headed to we got on the big loop, the Grand Loop, my apologies, and we were headed towards Canyon Village, but we saw Norris Geyser Basin, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Off to the side, and the road is just packed with cars. They even have signs up that say parking lot full, and me and Katie look at each other.
Overflow parking, all
We're
kinds
like,
of stuff.
should we stop and try? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. It was a mistake. We turned, and
Yeah.
it was a mistake. We were stuck there for a little bit, and we eventually just were like, forget it, turned around. And so we headed to the village, checked in. It was really weird. The whole vibe inside there was very stressful. I got told about a coyote that's a little aggressive in the
Oh.
area. So they were like, make sure you don't sleep with any food because this coyote will come for you. They also, so we set up, we got our shower tokens. Well, I don't know if it's a piece of paper that they do little tallies on, right?
Yeah, you get a shower a day,
Exactly.
which
Katie,
I think is pretty generous.
compared to most places. So Katie was like, hey, I'm going to take a shower. I was like, hey, I think I can last a few more days without bathing. I'm going to go explore the village. And there's like this, almost like a strip mall in a way over there. It has restaurants and soda fountains, lots of gift shops, and a general store. So I went out there, came back, we re-teamed up, and we decided we were going to drive the North Rim Drive of the Yellowstone Grand Canyon. Dude, is that what they call
I
it?
think they just call it canyon.
Okay, the Yellowstone Canyon.
But I think it's like nickname.
Gotcha.
You know, the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone.
I thought we were just going to drive, but there's a pull off with some parking, and we stop, and we see there's a trail sign. So we go over and we look, and we're like, well, we're here. Let's go do it. So
We
we
were
do.
really tired already.
We
I mean,
were,
We had
and
hiked like 3 hours.
I wasn't even looking forward to it, but it didn't seem too far away. So I was like, yeah, let's give it a go. Was the lower outlook? Is that what we went to? The lower
The
portion?
lower brink.
I don't.
or
Yes,
something.
the lower brink.
Something
Okay,
like that.
so we start going down, and I'm thinking it's just
Brink of Lower Falls. I think. Is
yes,
what they call
brink of lower falls. We start going down, and after a couple switchbacks, I'm like, Katie, I think we may have made a mistake doing this because I'm just thinking about walking back up.
it. Yeah.
But we keep going, and I would say maybe 10 switchbacks.
I don't know. It was significant.
It was.
But not
And they
crazy
weren't
long.
short. They were like city block. Maybe that's too intense. They weren't short switchbacks. But we make it down there, and it was so worth it.
It was amazing. It was like a stunning view of the
It
canyon.
was so beautiful.
Kind of like, for me, I was like, what? I was not anticipating that. It was very impressive. Very startling.
Playing off what she was saying, I enjoyed what we had done, but I was kind of like, this isn't blowing me away. I'm not really like, oh, this is fantastic. I got to tell people to come to Yellowstone. That at that point, when I got down there, I was like, okay, this trip was worth it. Not that hanging out with Katie and the boys isn't fun.
It's not. But, but yeah, the canyon is rad. Very beautiful. And
was
it
amazing.
was a good time too. We were close to
Yeah.
sunset, so the
Yes,
light was
the light
kind of
was shooting through
it was
the
beautiful.
canyon. It was
Yeah.
great. But then, of course, the going back up, and
That
yeah,
was not fun.
I felt it, and it it brought back like PTSD of the Walters Wiggles from Zion National Park going up to Angel's Landing. And those of you who have done that, you know what I'm talking about. This was not that bad, but it was, I was huffing and puffing, and I was glad when I got to the top. Some lady was coming down and she asked me how many more, switches till I get to the end. And she only had like 4 more. And I mistakenly said something like, I wish I wouldn't have come down here. And she's like, oh. And I was like, no, no, no. You're so close now. It'd be a shame to like turn around and go up from here. Just, finish it and hit yourself later. So that was fun. We got up there and we hit a lot. We got back in the car, we were going back on the drive, and we hit these beautiful lookout points that were just so amazing. We headed back to the campsite. I got my can of lentils, went over to the boys' campsite, started cooking it up. Katie ditched us for some romance.
Yeah, I had a phone call with an internet man. Hey, maybe I'll keep this one.
So I hung out with them for a bit, the boys, and when I was done, we decided that the next day we were going to get up at 5:30 and leave by 6:30, and we were going to go do Old Faithful and other. I think what we said was we were going to do the geysers. They took it as we were only going to do Old Faithful. Anyway, you'll have to watch the next video to know what happened here. I came back to the tent to try to sleep, and I couldn't because someone was giggling and making dad jokes late into the 10 o'clock.
It was a good time.
Finally she stopped, and I was able to rest.
But I wasn't, so.
No, yeah, she went back in her.
It was cold.
Thinking of Dreamboat?
We're talking about here. Yeah, it was cold here. In Mammoth, it was hot.
Yes.
And sweaty. And dry, the very dry climate. And here in Canyon, it is very, I don't know if it's very humid, but it rained and I was cold and I had hard time falling asleep because I was so cold.
This is true. I also did not have an easy time, and not just because of her dad jokes. Though, as effed up as my dreams were, they could have very much been inspired.
I had a weird dream too.
By the dad jokes. Next time on Yellowstone, hear about our weird dreams. You give us your interpretations of why 38 is so important to me. That's an inside joke that makes no sense to anybody. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. My cousins are watching over here. You can come on over if you want.
Wave into this very professional video.
Quick edit, did you find that bone I put in your tent?
Yes, I was going to ask you. Okay, so was that from Glacier? Did you bring that from Glacier?
Yeah, it was in my pack, and I found it. And I was like, wait, did you put this in here? I can't remember where that came from.
I was like, I bet it was just in his bag. And
quick little thing. When I got to my tent last night, there was a bone sitting in my tent, and I was like, I recognized it from our Glacier trip.
I recognize this bone.
So it made its way back here.